Hey guys, it's Ed, welcome back to the kitchen. Today's recipe is all about wild garlic. It's time for a little bit of foraging. So I'd love to say that I came to the forest to forage the wild garlic, but that wouldn't quite be true because
ain't nobody got time for that.
actually, it's not because of that reason. It's mainly because the place that I can get it from nearest my house is actually illegal to get, so I try to avoid breaking the law. Thankfully, my local farmers market sells it this time of year, so it's easy to get and easy to find for this recipe. So in my best David Attenborough impression, although David Attenborough is more about wildlife than greenery. Oh well, in my best David Attenborough impression, here in Abney Park in Stoke Newington, we see the wild garlic lining the path, and you can spot its specific look because it has these long, thin stems, and if you rub it between your hands, you'll be able to smell a very pungent garlic smell. So yeah, not so great at impressions, I'll admit that. What I would say though is wild garlic is actually very easy to find. All you need is somewhere slightly damp normally, so somewhere near a river or near a canal or a forest is a really good place for it. What I would say is if you're not 100% sure what it looks like, it's best to go and find it from a greengrocer or from a farmer's market, just because there are other things in the forest that you don't necessarily want to eat. The other point is, even though you can see it here lining the path, you might want to avoid this because, well, dogs are around here. And you don't want to have anything where a dog might have been, so try not to get the stuff that's right on the edge of the path. Step off a little bit and you'll find better stuff there that's not been contaminated, let's say. Time to make some scones. Okay, so now that we have our wild garlic, we can get started. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a really simple classic savoury scone and we're just going to add a whole bunch of flavourings to it. So the first thing we need to do is add some salt to our dough. So the first thing we need to know is that this will have some bacon in it, so we want to be a little light on the salt, but it still does need some salt. So just a little bit of salt to the dough. And then for added levels of flavour, we're going to add some fennel seeds. I love fennel seeds in basically everything, so I love them in these scones. And that's going to be a background flavour, so we don't want to add tons and tons. And then we're going to add our butter. So because it is a fairly warm day, we're finally getting a bit of summer, we're going to add our unsalted butter, but instead of using my hands to rub it in today, we're going to use a pastry blender, just because it's a lot easier and it will mean your hands aren't getting the butter nice and melted, so you'll just get a lighter scone that way. So just add our butter to the flour, and then what I normally do is I just toss it through with my hands to start, and then I'm going to use the pastry blender to get in there to cut that into small pieces. So now that our butter is cut in and you've got kind of irregular sized pieces, kind of from pea-sized pieces to small-sized pieces, we can add more flavourings. So first off, we have a nice amount of cheese. This is obviously a savoury scone, so cheese is the base of that. I'm using a really nice mature cheddar. And then to add some more saltiness, we're gonna add some bacon. This is just streaky smoked bacon that I've cooked until nice and crisp. We're gonna add both of these to the bowl, and then just use your hands just to bring that together, nicely distribute it. And then it's gonna come time for our wild garlic. So what we want to do is finely chop the garlic, so it's really nice and fine, because if you have big long pieces, when you come to cut the scones out, it's gonna rip and break. So nice small pieces is really key so that we get really beautiful scones. So just, again, finely chop that, add that to the mixture along with the cheese and the bacon, and just mix that to combine. Then it's going to come time for our milk. So we're going to use milk, obviously, but then to make it slightly richer and also lighter, we're going to use some eggs. So just crack your eggs into the milk, and then all we're going to do is just with a fork, just whisk that together until that's combined. Then we're going to make a well in the middle of our bowl, and then pour in the wet goods. And then just use a flat kind of ended knife, like a butter knife or something, and just cut that in until you have a kind of shaggy looking dough. We're then going to turn that out onto the work surface. And what we're going to do is just gently use our hands just to finish that off, just to bring that together into a uniform dough. So now we've got a nicely uniform dough, we're just going to lightly flour the work surface, and we're going to use some round cookie cutters to cut out as many scones as possible. You want to get as close to each scone as possible, leaving as little a gap as possible, because that way you have less likelihood of having to re-roll the dough multiple times. You only want to do that really once, because the more you work the dough, the tougher those scones become, so those first cuts are always going to be the better. So the closer you can get, the better. So when you are cutting the scones out, I have a couple of tips for you. So using a straight edge cutter, the best thing to do is push straight down, no twisting, just a really sharp straight down movement. And the reason for this is scones have a tendency to that if you twist the cutter, it kind of locks them up and they don't rise properly, so you just get a denser scone. So a nice straight down sharp movement is better. To get a really clean cut, what you can do is also dip the cutter in flour before each cut so that it goes through the dough really easily and doesn't stick. So to finish the scones, what we're going to do is put those onto parchment-lined baking trays, and then we're going to use a little bit of egg wash just to lightly brush the top, making sure none fall down the side, because what will happen is that will glue itself as soon as it hits the heat of the oven and will rise lopsided, so try and make sure it sticks to the top. But to finish the scones, we're going to add one of my favourite seasonings, which is this stuff. This is zataar, which is a mix of thyme, oregano and sesame seeds, and it's so fragrant, it is so delicious, and it works incredibly well with cheese and just lots of savoury pastries. So I'm going to sprinkle that all over the top of the scones too. That's then going to go into the oven for about 15 to 20 minutes, just until the scones are a nice golden brown on top. They are so delicious warm, but obviously you can also have them cold. Actually, I'm taking them on a train trip up north to see some family, so they will be our little picnic for the train. As I said, it's an incredibly simple recipe. I really hope you enjoyed it. As always, the recipe is up in the corner, and if you liked this video, please leave me a big thumbs up and let me know down below in the comments if there's anything else you want to see in an upcoming video. If you're not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe and click on the notification bell to be the first to find out when my new recipes go live. I make new videos every single week, so I will see you next time.